Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IraSportsDaily.com. I'm your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Thursday, August 28th. We've got the Miami game preview coming for you today. We're going to talk about matchups. We're going to talk about potential vulnerabilities for Notre Dame. We'll talk about the weather. We'll talk about quarterbacks and all those other things. We're also going to do, at the top, we're going to do a top 25 ranking of our 25 best ranked Notre Dame players. We usually do this a little bit earlier, but the quarterback battle really messed up everything, Jamie, but we're going to do that today. It's going to be real quick. We're not going to go through a whole show. I'm going to show mine, then I'm going to show Jamie's. We'll talk about maybe some disagreements or discrepancies is a better way to put it in the rankings, and then we'll get into our Miami preview. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. So whenever it is, we are going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. And as always, this episode is brought to you by ESQ Clothing. It's seen on all your favorite Notre Dame players and coaches and founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. ESQ is your go-to spot for the best handmade custom suits, sport coats, tuxedo shirts, and more. ESQ's master tailors combine next-level craftsmanship with the finest fabrics to deliver a fit that's built just for you. Now with showrooms both downtown Chicago and Winnetka, book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com. Mention ISD at your appointment and receive 10% off your entire purchase. And Jamie, it's bomba time, breaking news. While we're at it, ESQ is going to do a season kickoff sale, 20% off all online ready-to-wear items, including ESQ's award-winning bamboo dress shirts and their new luxury dress tee. Use code KICKOFF and get 20% off all online items through September 6th. That's code KICKOFF to get 20% off all online items through September 6th. That's esqclothing.com. Jamie, it's been mentioned in the chat. First of all, the chat is on fire. I can't keep up with it before we get on here. I love it too. I love that everyone's just in here commiserating, talking ball. We love to see that. It was mentioned. Kyle Hamilton, the man on our opening graphic, on our intro, for our intro music, the highest paid safety in NFL history, $82 million guaranteed, $100 million contract, 4-year deal. He was up for the extension. He got you knew it was going to be enormous. 2-time All-Pro. It was going to be big. His agent, former Notre Dame safety Kyle McCarthy, the safeties are combining, Jamie. And this is what I want to say about Kyle Hamilton. Real quick. His favorite player and basketball player is LeBron James. And what you can say about LeBron James is the same thing, in my opinion, you can say about Kyle Hamilton, which is they are both similar in that they have the physical build, right? You know, people always talk about LeBron, like how is he so big and he can do the things that he does? Kyle Hamilton, how can you do the things that he does in the size that he is? And that is one of those things that gives them a chance to be what they are, but it is not guaranteed. Kyle did not have to be as good as he is. He really did not. He could have just relied on his physical ability, but he hasn't. He's a student of the game. He tries to get better at everything. He had a perceived weakness that people said with the slot, working in the slot and man coverage and that sort of thing. He has turned that into a strength of his. That's why he is where he is. So congratulations to him. And
well, I think we'd both agree that perceived weakness wasn't actually a weakness.
But it also is difficult, right? It could have been a weakness, I guess. And I think that's where I kind of come from. It's that people would have seen someone his size like, well, he's not going to be as good as man coverage. Well, he is. He is that, and he is everything. And that's kind of the same with LeBron. Like, he doesn't have to be as good as he is, and neither does Kyle. Congrats to Kyle on the contract. It's well-deserved. He's the best safety in the NFL. So good job by him on that. Yes, incredible. Very, very good.
And you know what? And, just because somebody said that Kyle, he might be better in the NFL than he was at Notre Dame. I mean, that might be true, but I think for some reason, well, I know exactly why, because of he missed the second half of his last season. And there were people who speculated that he was opting out, which was not the case.
I'm not dealing with that.
But the thing is that people acted like like he didn't make enough spectacular plays or something. Like, first of all, he made a lot of spectacular plays, but name his misses. You can put them on one hand, like, because you remember them vividly because it rarely ever happened.
Yeah.
That's how good he was, right? So when we talk about like, oh, he got beaten that slot fade by Tyler Scott against Cincinnati, it was like, yeah, that happened once. Like it happened once. Like literally, there was not another one like that. So like he's incredible player, incredible Notre Dame player. Obviously the best safety in the NFL, being paid like it right now. Awesome to see.
Congrats to Kyle. Congrats to his family and everyone involved. It was Trey Tucker, yes, Jacob Paulus. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. All right, let's do our top 25. So here's mine. Here's my top 25, Jamie. I've got Jeremiah Love 1, Leonard Moore 2, Emil Wagner, Drake Bowen, Bryce Young. Our top 5 is identical with the exception of one slot. I have Wagner 3, Bowen 4. You have Bowen 3, Wagner 4. Obviously, we're not quibbling about this. Yeah. There is a little bit of a difference in our two lists. So there's my top 12. Here's my final rest of the top 25 here. I've got Greathouse a good bit lower than you. I've got Christian Gray a good bit lower than you. There's not a ton of disagreement. There are guys on your list, and I'll put it up here, where you have Boubacar Traore a lot higher than me. I knew that would be true because, and you kind of all the injured guys is you have a good bit higher. You have Jordan Botelho 17. Like I didn't rank Jordan Botelho. I don't know what to make of him, right? I just don't, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. Neither of us have the quarterback. We can get into that. But you have Jaden Osbury at 19. I didn't rank Jaden Osbury. It's actually not that big of a discrepancy if you think about it. Like Jaden Osbury would probably be like 26, 27, right? And so it's like if it's less than 10 spots different, then I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. But you have Jaden Greathouse at 8, and CFB Hertz says Greathouse at 8 feels like a hot take. Let's talk about that. I don't think it's a hot take. I don't think it's a hot take, but I'm curious. Kind of why you put him there, because I had him a little bit lower than that. I had him first of all. I had him below Malachi Fields as well.
Yeah, and I don't think it's like a big deal.
You have a 4-spot difference. It's not.
Yeah. Like we were talking about this before, right? Where I'm like, basically guys from like whatever after 5, we had the same top 5. I think 6 to 15 or whatever, like you can mix and match and interchange. I really don't think it's like a big deal because it's like it's a guessing thing about how good of a year a guy's going to have and all that, right? And I just think Greathouse is going to have a monster year. Like I don't care about the or on him with Pauling. I think that's more about over respect for Pauling, than anything to do with Jaden Greathouse. I was reading something today from Dane Bergler from The Athletic where he said that basically when he comes out, he's seen as a top 50 pick in the NFL draft, which I think not a lot of people would think that because they don't think of him as this amazing guy with like traits in terms of just, speed and just, athleticism where he just pops off the page, but he is just such a refined receiver. And I think he's I only have him above Fields, not that it's a big difference. I thought about putting them like kind of like right back, but I was like, I don't want to I wanted to have Schuler and Stroud in my top 10. So that's why I did it that way. But I mean, I really don't care like where you put a lot of these guys. Like to me, KVA could be like, he could be the 3rd best guy in the team. Like I think that is entirely possible. And the reason I'm really high on Christian Gray because I think all the kind of stuff that we talked about, about like things that he needed to get better at and whatever. And also like, I like that he added weight. And I just think he's going to be in line for a big year. and he's going to have a really good year where he's probably not going to be on the team in 2026. I think he's probably going to go to the league. And I think there's a good chance that could happen with Greathouse too. Like that could very well happen with him as well. I mean, obviously it depends on the year, right? And you know, what they're getting at quarterback and all that too. But I think that is a definite possibility. I just think if you look at this like top 12, you look at your like, you know, top 12, we look at our like top 18 or whatever. There's a lot of studs in there. There's a lot of guys that I think if you told me one of these guys is like, well, this guy's going to be an All-American and then this guy isn't or whatever, he's going to be good, but not an All-American, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like it just, I don't think there's anything wrong. Like I like Adon Schuler's 9 could easily be up there, you know, within the top 5 by then. Like all of these guys. And I just think that's kind of how I viewed it. And I was, you know, saying to you before, like we were texting, I was like, it was really hard, not really hard finding 25 guys. There's way more than 25 guys that probably deserve to be on the list. Like, I mean, and I've done this other years in the past where me and Matt were doing it back when Douglas Farmer was doing the thing for maybe, or I think even back to when Keith Arnold was doing it.
Yes, Keith Arnold did it first.
And we're doing that top 25 thing, and Matt and I would go over and have our list, and then we'd, you know, combine it together and give it to Keith. And there were ones where you're like getting past 16 and you're like, ooh, it's getting kind of rough here. Like, you know, like it was, to be honest. And it's not that guys didn't end up emerging and being whatever. It just wasn't very obvious. And with this team, there's just so many guys that I just think that, like, Jalen Schroman is not on my list. Like, I think he might have a monster year. He could be great. So it was very, very hard putting this together, just because you don't want to disrespect someone by putting them too high or too low or whatever, or not on the list at all. I think it's just very, you know, hard to do it because there's just so many guys that I think have a chance to really make a big leap up this year.
Yeah. Neither of us have Stroman in the top 25, but we both have Tay Johnson. I assume this is because you think eventually Johnson passes him.
Yeah, or at the very least is like
more impactful
safety, at least third safety, and he's like, in terms of havoc and all that, he's going to create more. Like he's going to, like I wouldn't be surprised if he led the team in interceptions. You know, like that I think is on the table. And if there's a guy like that, even if he maybe say like the first 6 games of the year, he isn't quite, you know, there where maybe he's only playing 20 reps a game or something like that. But then in the back half, I mean, that's the kind of thing that you want to see a guy like kind of him hopefully take off. And then if they're making a CFP run, he becomes like a guy that all of a sudden, you know, he's a game wrecker. Yeah.
So I have Jaden Greathouse at 13. I will say if Dane Brugler is correct and he's eventually a top 50 pick when he comes out, then I have him way too low. A top 50 pick should be in the top 10 of this football team. So I guess I don't see him that way, and I never have. And I yield to his expertise. This is his business. It's not mine. I just evaluate Notre Dame's football players. I don't look at them broadly in terms of like the national picture. But yeah, if he is a top 50 pick eventually, then this is way too low. The thing with Christian Gray is, I'll tell you what I don't like. It makes me nervous. And look, I have Christian Gray at 14, right? So it's not like I have him in the 20s or something. Like 14th best player on the team is talking like high-end starter. It makes me nervous that there was a weakness that teams found that never really got solved and figured out. That's what I don't like. And this goes into the Miami game that's coming up. It's kind of a preview. It's like he is going to get tested in this game. It's very important that the first time or first couple times they test him, he passes the test.
Yeah.
It's just classic reinforcement. You know, we threw it at this guy. and we weren't rewarded for it once, we'll do it again. If you don't get rewarded twice, they're going to go away from it. It's just classic behavior. And like, but if it happens the first time, they're just going to keep going after it over and over again. And I think he needs to get over the hump as well mentally from that.
Mentally, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hedge a little bit on Christian Gray. I want to put him higher. And I think when we did this early, I didn't check before, but I'm pretty sure I had him higher before that, or earlier when we did this, I think before camp started. And I don't know. I believe in his talent, but I believe there's something there where it's like, they're going to kind of pick on you a little bit. And it makes me nervous. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. Onye, I knew you'd have him higher than me. You have him 15. I have Onye at 21. It's not a huge difference. But you've obviously been a believer this entire time in Jason Onye. So it doesn't surprise me at all. But Telho, you rank 17. I was afraid to rank him. Why did you kind of want to go in this direction for him as high as he is, like above Donovan Heinisch, above Anthony Knapp and players like that?
Well, I mean, I think it's like when you're getting it there, it's, you could have slid any of those guys up there. Right. I just think that ultimately what I saw from Botelho in camp, when I saw it, like, how he looked like and how he was moving physically, he looked like the exact same guy in last year's camp that was awesome at the beginning of the year, was probably the best. He was the best defensive lineman for Notre Dame against Texas A&M.
Yeah.
So I just think like, it maybe he could be that again, eventually, as the season kind of goes on, as he gets kind of back into, a full thing where he can get off a pitch count or whatever. But I just think that he's going to be an impactful guy this season. And I don't even know if it's going to be as much early on. I just think he's going to, if he obviously stays healthy, is going to, be a very much a guy who disrupts things up front and plays on third down and really is like a super valuable guy for Notre Dame. So it's more of like kind of a bet of just like what I saw last year and then what I saw in camp, because I got to be honest, like I would have said at the beginning of camp, I wouldn't have listed him at all because I didn't know when he was going to come back. Right. Like, and you never know if like somebody's going to have like, it's the one reason why, we can both talk about it now. Like Charles Juggesaw is not on the list. I didn't put him because he could be like, a top 10 guy, top 5 guy on the team this year when he's back. I don't know when he's going to come back, right? Like there hasn't been any kind of news about when he's coming back. And in general, when they're not talking about it, it's hard to say because sometimes they just do it and then all of a sudden, hey, this guy's back this week. Like that has happened before, but I haven't heard one inkling of like, hey, get ready. This guy's going to be back sooner than you think. So because of that, like, what if he's like back in November or whatever? Like, I don't know. Right. Or not back at all. Like, cause there's some kind of complication. So that's why I didn't put it. And it's another reason too, why like I didn't put, I think Gerby Lambert, I thought about putting him in because I do think he is eventually going to be the starting right guard. I just have a feeling that's the way it's going to go. But because he's just not right now, I was just like, I kind of wanted to give it like, if I was going to say a tie and this guy's not a definitive starter right now, that's why I kind of did it that way.
Yeah, I did rank Lambert. I have him at 23. I do think he's going to start. Not based on information. I just think they are going to do that. It's like a ranking thing. Plus, I think they want him on the field is the other part. Like, I just think they want him out there. And it kind of brings me back to, I think we did this 2 years ago when I had Billy Strouth ranked like 15th. and he didn't start. He was behind Rocco. I'll say this for Joe Rudolph. It seems like he always has like some surprise where it's like, what? What? Like Strouth was definitely going to start, and then, or maybe this was 2 years ago. I can't remember who was the. How long has Joe Rudolph been at Notre Dame? Was last year his first year, or is this his third year?
2023 was for sure. Yeah. So this is
yeah. So it was supposed to be Rocco was like on the outs, and then suddenly he was like the starting guard, and everyone thought it was going to be Strouth, and it ended up being somebody else. And I that could be happening with Lambert here, but I just think if he is the player, and I think he's going to be, he's just too good. He's too good, Jamie. He's too big, and I just think he's gonna get there eventually. And frankly, it could be too low. And here's the other part. Like I look at Onye, I look at Pauling, I look at Smith. Like these could all be too low. And this is why I had a hard time. And this is why I didn't. This is why I didn't rank Jaden Osbury, is because he was a guy that I don't say to myself he could be too low, and so that's why, like, I think he's going to play a ton, but I just don't know that he'll be as impactful. And I think the word that we've been using here is impactful. I just don't know that he'll have the impact of the guys that are above him, even though I think he'll play a lot. And so that's basically where I kind of came out with that. So I think there was a question about or Bill Walsh, the founder of the Pro Style Offense. He was in here and he mentioned
West Coast.
Oh, West Coast Offense. That's right. The West Coast Offense. Bill Walsh was in here. He mentioned like Lambert would be he thought that was kind of hot takey. Sid Irish says, what's the word on kicker? I believe Noah Burnett was listed as the kicker.
Yeah.
And
he was the only one.
He was the only one. So there's not.
So he won the kicking job.
Which is kind of why they brought him in. That's weird. Impactful is not a word. Is it not?
It is a word.
I don't know. I thought it was a word. Maybe I'm wrong. Another comment by Bill Walsh. A lot of NFL players on this list, which we've kind of touched on, Jamie.
Impactful. It is a word. Having a major impact or effect. What?
Come on, Daniel. Come on, Daniel. Come on, get right. With overall roster, Jamie, doing this exercise as good as it's been in the last however long.
Yeah, 100%. They're just a lot deeper. It's not like, it's funny because there was somebody who made a comment in Six Thoughts like, oh, there's a lot of questions about, or a lot of question marks in the team. And I was like, compared to most years, there's not a lot. I mean, there's some question marks for sure. And, question marks in terms of like, oh, is this guy going to be like elite or is he just going to be good? But in terms of like, hey, this guy is good, there's just more guys that they have that it's like, this guy is going to be good. And where it's just development, it's recruiting, it's all of these things. And it's like the culture of the team and all of that, where there are just so many guys where you just think about a guy like Onye and Heinisch are perfect examples of, I think people should have confidence in the way that Marcus Freeman is talking about those guys, because they've seen Al Washington develop guys and develop those guys and, see those guys just get better and better every year. And that's the benefit of having guys when you build your team through recruiting and you have these players that you are, taking time. It's years with these guys. It's years. It's like so many reps, so many practices that you're putting all this effort into with these guys where they are, developing in the weight room, developing nutritionally and all this. It's like that it's not a one-time thing, right? It's not a one-time thing. It's like it's been built up over the time, and it's like you just have seen it enough because most of the coaches on the staff have been there for long enough now where there's a track record. There's a track record with those guys, and I mean, it's why they are considered, a contender this year.
Yep. Good job by Marcus Freeman. Good job by his staff as well. We can transition over to the Miami preview. And if you're transitioning from a high impact younger athlete to a maybe lower impact older athlete, then you can do that with H2 Pickleball, Jamie. Founded by alum Todd Hill, it's teaming with fellow alums Jack Gibbs and Will Howells, a top 10 pickleball pro, to bring Notre Dame fans to the Notre Dame Pickleball Crew League. Besides football, what better way to connect and engage Notre Dame fans than through pickleball? Membership is free, and members will have access to special pickleball events and discounts. The first event will be a tournament before the Purdue game with medal rounds played on campus. A portion of the proceeds will go to the Rockne Athletics Fund to support Notre Dame student athletes. Contact Todd at h2pickleball.com or Todd at h2pickleball.com or 574-339-5195 to join the league. And be sure to visit the H2 Pickleball facility in Mishawaka when you are in town. H2 Pickleball is located at 55801 Evergreen Plaza Drive in Mishawaka. Let's talk about Miami. There's going to be there's weather. So the last I checked on AccuWeather, it was supposed to rain during the day, 25% chance at night, which I think is good. I don't like when I think when not just Notre Dame, when any team, you go in there as the better team, you don't want variables, in my opinion. You don't want things like rain. You don't want wind. You don't want any of that. You want to play on like a good surface in good environment, because you don't need the help in that way. You don't need those variables. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, anytime it comes into a game, it can just change the trajectory of a game just by one like chance of luck. It adds luck into it in the unknown, which is why it's always like you want to, if you take out like home or road and it's a neutral site game and the weather is perfect and all that. That's the whole idea, or it was the idea before they started giving Super Bowls to anyone with a new stadium. But the whole idea of having it always in this warm weather climate was, okay, well, you're going to go in January and it's going to be nice and sunny. It's not going to be like, there's not going to be snow like there is in Green Bay for the NFC Championship game. It's going to be like close to as perfect conditions as possible, so the best team can win, right? And it always can add an element to something. I think we were at the Louisville game last year. The weather there like had I'm on both teams, right? Like I don't think it evened out, I think, in that game. But like, I mean, here's a perfect example. Jadarian Price fumbled, didn't play the rest of the game. Like,
yeah.
If he probably only fumbled because it was raining, like it's not like he's had issues with ball security. Like if that didn't happen for him, maybe he plays the whole game and maybe he breaks one or something and it breaks the game open. Like more, like we don't know, right? So there's all these things that can happen, and it adds a different element to the quarterback thing. And people say, well, Notre Dame's got a new quarterback and all that. Well, it's like, I don't know how many games Carson Beck has played in the rain. Probably not a ton, right? I think Ole Miss was raining last year, by the way, and he stunk. So that's something.
It was raining a lot.
Something to keep in mind for it, right? And then I don't know, like exactly, like who knows exactly because of the humidity and all that. I just know as I live in a place that's extremely humid. Yeah, Toronto, Canada. Just so people know, it's not an igloo. I don't live in an igloo. It's not snowing here all year round. It's amazing how many people that I like talk to when I go down to South Bend that are like, ew, what? It's warm. It's like, yeah, man. Like, have you heard of New York? Because it's like the exact same weather.
Oh
like,
my God.
Yeah, it's insane. But it is a place where we get a lot of thunderstorms, and a lot of times it's like when after a thunderstorm, the humidity breaks. and it's like gets cooler. So I don't know. I mean, that might ultimately, if it is like, really rainy earlier in the day and then it breaks later on, that might be a good thing for Notre Dame.
Interesting. What style of game do you think this is going to be? There's a lot of prognostication about that. Well, how do you think Miami wants to play this game?
I mean, I think Miami. I mean, I think they want their crowd, like everything. Cristobal said is like they want their crowd to be like crazy. They want their crowd to be insane, and they want them to have an impact on the game. So I think they want to like cause as much havoc as possible and like stop Notre Dame's run game and put the game obviously into CJ Carr's hands and try to do that as much as possible. Like they want to establish the line of scrimmage. They want to win up front and both sides of the line. That's what they want to do. And because they want to make it easy, they want to make the game be easy for Beck in that same way, because he's not an obvious passing situation. So the playbook's open. And then, Notre Dame has to worry about the run. So they're not going to get as good of a pass rush and all that. And, when he's not pressured, he can dial it up and he can be great. So I think it's going to be a line of scrimmage game for sure. And that's how, Miami is built. That's how they are built. That's why they have spent, whatever amount of money on 5 stars to land those guys up front. They're going to do that. They are exactly like Notre Dame and what Marcus Freeman said. They're O-line, D-line driven team in terms of that's how their foundation of their team. Now, I don't think they are as deep as Notre Dame on the defensive line. Definitely not. On the offensive line, it's very similar. Like they have 2,900 snaps coming back from last year. Notre Dame is 3,000. It's like, 4 starters, right? Like it's the same thing. It's the exact same kind of thing. It's like, well, what's going to be the difference there? And it's going to be like, probably like whose defensive line is better ultimately. And certainly like we're pretty high on Notre Dame's defensive line. They have some studs on the defensive line too. And it's going to be about like, hey, they're going to make some plays, but Notre Dame has to be able to block them enough and to wear them down to the point that, like Texas A&M last year where, hey, they're getting chances and all of a sudden Price and Love are getting to the second level and their DB's got to tackle. And those guys are tough to tackle.
I think if Miami wants to play a trenches game, I don't know how you beat Notre Dame doing that.
Yes, but I think that is how they got to play it.
Yeah. I don't know how you can do that. I mean, Notre Dame has it's kind of one of those things like Miami is aspirationally that way. I didn't view them last year, that type of team. And you can bring in whoever, but it's not a part of you. I mean, it's funny because Brendan asked the question, like, what, everything goes right for Notre Dame. What does it look like? And which Hans Zimmer score would you accompany with a highlight package? Like, to me, it's like a Dark Knight game. Like this is Notre Dame is the thing. They're not trying to be something. It's what they are. I mean, look at what they played this type of game against Georgia. They played this type of game against Penn State. Like they wanted to play that way. They played this type of game against Texas A&M. Like this is what Notre Dame is. I think if
100%.
if you look at the teams that gave Notre Dame trouble last year on offense, or Notre Dame, their offense against Notre Dame's defense, it was Louisville and it was USC who threw the ball. I mean, even Ohio State, like they gashed them with some big running plays, but like it was the throwing game that did in Notre Dame against Ohio State. I don't know that you can, and maybe Miami wants to emulate the Ohio State thing or whatever. They're not at that level. I don't think I think they have to, and it's not saying I disagree with you in terms of style. I'm asking your opinion. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm just saying, like, if they are going to be competitive in this game, I think they have to try to open it up like USC did. I think they have to de-emphasize. I think they have to kind of put it on Beck. And this is the problem, right? This is what Texas A&M tried to do,
that's
and
a
it got them
mistake.
beat.
Yeah.
Like I think that's how you got to beat them. I don't think you can beat them the other way.
Well, I think too, that's why, because you mentioned those teams, Louisville and USC and Ohio State. I think the thing that all those teams had in common is they had dudes at receiver. Like, guy coming into the game, they had certified dudes at receiver. And that's what Miami doesn't have. They don't. Not this year. They weren't, last year they were different. They had better receivers. They lost like their top like 6 receivers from last year. Xavier Restrepo was a stud. He's a back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver. He's the leading receiver in the history of the University of Miami. More than Michael Irvin, more than Ge Wang, Santana Moss, all these guys. They've obviously had a ton of, Andre Johnson. Like, he's got the most receiving yards in the history of Miami. And last year versus man coverage, he was 15.7 yards per reception, scored 6 touchdowns. Unquestioned wide receiver 1 for them. Who is their wide receiver 1 this year, right? Like, is it JoJo Trader? Like, he had 6 catches for 91 yards. He might be a stud. He might be a total stud. He's a very highly ranked guy, but it's rare that guy comes out and is like, okay, that guy's going to be a stud immediately, when he hasn't proven it yet. Because even if you look at a guy like Mekhi Lemon last year, he took off halfway through the year. That's generally how it happens for a lot of these guys. I mean, look at Jaden Greathouse. Like, it didn't happen right away, right? Like, and so I think what's super interesting about this is if they had the guys at receiver, I'd be like, well, that really kind of changes it, because I think you would make it seem like they're projected number 3 OF plus, right? Combined FEI and SP plus, but personnel wise, yes, they have the offensive line coming back. Beck, he's a really great quarterback when he's protected well, but they need, like, Elijah Lofton is their tight end, who they think is going to be a stud. Well, he needs to be a stud in this game. To this game Sunday, he needs to be that. JoJo Trader needs to be that. Malachi Tony's a true freshman. You got to be good right away, man. Like, there is no, like, baby steps and growing as a no. It's like, you got to be good right away. CJ Daniels, number 4 receiver on LSU last year. Like, do I think that guy is going to win a lot versus Leonard Moore? No. No, I mean, I wouldn't be confident about that. So when Beck had, Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey, lights out. Like, he was great, right? Like, and throwing to those guys, he was, his passer rating, it was 136.9 NFL passer rating, right? Like, that is ridiculous. Like, when he was throwing to them, to 2 future first round picks. Everyone else in 2023 was 103.4. Still good. Like, good. Not elite, good. Right. But not it's a big difference when you're not doing that. Well, last year, those guys weren't on the team, 97.7. It was the 26th best out of Power 4 quarterbacks. Like, they're not paying him $4 million to be the 26th best guy. So he has to either elevate some of these guys to get to that point right now. And I'm not saying he can't make some ridiculous throws. There's going to be probably like 4 or 5 throws in the game that, only he could make that throw, just an anticipation throw, whatever. But you can't expect anybody to be perfect like that all game, especially if Notre Dame is getting pressure, right? So I don't know. Like, I don't think he has the weapons around him to be like that same guy he was in 2023, at least not at the beginning of the year, maybe later in the year. Also, maybe when they're playing against a secondary that isn't as good as Notre Dame's, they look a lot better. But I really think, like, no one would take Miami's receivers right now versus ND's secondary in a matchup. No one.
Yeah.
Even Delulu, like Miami fans wouldn't take that. They would have you'd have to be truly, insane, right? So I just think in that way, like, and I think if you look at really like who they kind of play on the schedule all year, I don't really know. USC's got the two dudes, right? They got the two dudes on their team, but they're not as deep as they were. It's not like it's going to be interesting because I don't know if they're going to really face like a truly elite passing game until the CFP if they make it.
Yeah. The thing is, Carson Beck too, like he's not the same as Cam Ward style wise. They're different. They're very different. And Beck was really good when, Brock Bowers was there and Lad McConkey was there, like frontline NFL starter types. And then the entire operation that comes along with Georgia, right? Where you have that built-in line. Like Georgia is like, it's funny enough, like I think Carson Beck would be better at Notre Dame than he would be in a style like Miami, where it's like air raid. Like I feel like he's more fitting into what Notre Dame wants to be, or maybe what Notre Dame used to be with like Tommy Rees or something. So I don't know what the fit is there. Plus, he wasn't there in the spring too, and he still has the elbow thing. And I know that he's been cleared or whatever, and he's throwing, but like that's a big injury too. Like you just don't come back from that, So I don't know. I'm curious, like just from a non Notre Dame point of view here. I just feel like the fit between Beck and Miami and what they want to be and the type of player that he is, that never felt like the greatest fit to me. So we'll have to see. What on the Notre Dame side of it is kind of like you're kind of looking side eye at. Obviously there's the quarterback situation, which is kind of just a big unknown. But what are you kind of looking side eye at for Notre Dame as far as just like this is something I'm keeping an eye on?
Well, I think the pass rush from Miami, I think that is going to be something to watch, right? Because we just don't know how, Carr is going to handle that. And I know that relates back to Carr as well, but it would just,
sure.
wouldn't matter if it was, look at Carson Beck is an experienced guy and it's the whole thing. If they get a ton of pressure, they were a really great pass rush team last year, right? And I think that is, something to, worry about because they, Ruben Bain didn't have a good year last year. He still had dominant games. Like he had 10 pressures against Louisville. He had 6 in the bowl game. He was hurt for a good chunk of the year. He was dominant as a true freshman. He had 13 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, 43 pressures as a true freshman. Like that's insane. 22.6% win rate versus true pass sets last year, 28.6% in 23. So if he's healthy, I mean, they're raving about him right now, but I don't know. Like they're raving about everybody, who knows? But if he's that same guy, I think obviously Knapp and Wagner are better now, much better than they were at the beginning of last year. But still, he's a guy who can like change a game, and also they'll move him around. He's very much like Ashton Gelati, right? They'll move him around, they'll put him inside.
Yeah,
and the same thing with Akeem Messidor, who's a good pass rusher too. So they've got some guys, and I mean, I don't know what Justin Scott's going to be, but he is a freak. He is a freak athlete, and if he's like everything that they hope he can be, I mean, that can be a guy who can really like disrupt the running game and do a lot of different things and disrupt the passing game and all that too. So I think that's, from that perspective, I think Miami, there's no way they win the game if their defensive line doesn't whoop Notre Dame's offensive line. I don't really see them having any chance of winning the game, to be honest, because I don't really see like the other matchups I'd like for Notre Dame. And I'm not even to say that I don't like, Notre Dame's O line against their line. I think it's going to be a good matchup, but that's what Miami needs. And it's possible. And they'll obviously have the advantage of like home crowd and all that kind of stuff too. So you got to like, limit mistakes, and you got to not be in those long yardage situations. And you don't want to be in a position where late in the game where it's like, hey, we need to we're down in the fourth quarter. We need to pass to win the game. Like that favors Miami.
Yes. I think the thing that kind of benefits Notre Dame is like, you got to trust their staff too, because the way that it happens, right, is, we talked about it a bunch last year where everything was kind of on schedule for Notre Dame in basically every game, right? Didn't spend a ton of time losing, always kind of in the lead. And so you never have to get out of the way that you're willing to play. And funny enough, like the one time it kind of did was against Northern Illinois, and they didn't react very well, right? And obviously there's a lot of things that go into that and the reason for that, but I think we saw Notre Dame always kind of on schedule and always in control. Whereas, in any football game, it doesn't matter who you play. And obviously you play a good team that are going to be on the road. Notre Dame, I think we feel is better, but you play a good team on the road, they could jump out to a 10-0 lead. How do you respond to that? Does Notre Dame then get impatient? Do they then try to push it and get away from the way that they want to win, the way that they want to play? Do they take more chances with CJ Carr, right? Like that is the thing where, in a way, you can be better, but the way the game starts can affect the type of team that you are, and that's what I think about all the time, is the way that Notre Dame won games and the way that they were good last year may not repeat itself. And, if they give up a deep ball, how many deep balls did they give up early last year? Like never. It just didn't happen. You give up a deep ball early and suddenly it's like, whoa, like this, I don't remember this. Like this didn't happen. And then it happens, right? Like that sort of thing concerns me. But I think, it's not like high level analysis or anything. It's just like, that's the kind of thing that I think needs to happen. And then when you start to talk about like, Notre Dame is better, it's like, yeah, they are better, but this is how the lesser team kind of can come out and start to win the game. How do you think Notre Dame manages Carr here? I mean, do they go full on just like a lot of bubble screens, a lot of short game stuff, and then every once in a while they take a shot? Like, how much intermediate do you see from Notre Dame in this game? I don't know that there's going to be that many.
I mean, I think they're going to be pretty protective of that. I think when you do that is like they do it off of like first down. That's when you would see that kind of thing, right? Where they're, Miami's geeking up to play the run and they try to hit intermediate on those type of plays. Like you're not going to see them make those. So I imagine like when it's like the first 3rd and long into the game, it's going to be like quarterback draw, or like that's
I think it'll be like
it's very
tunnel screen
or something like that, right? It's which is extremely standard. Like that is, what you do in those situations. And I think if you watch like, last year versus Texas A&M and Riley Leonard, obviously he was more experienced, but it was like he was still new and getting his feet wet. And there was they had the offensive line. I don't think Mike Deverak is a really sharp dude. And he's someone who gets a feel for the game. And like, he knows when to put, we're going to put our foot on their throat and then we're going to go. And he knows when it's like, we got to dip our toes here and we're just going to do this because and he said too, right? He's not going to have, he's not going to put him in situations to lose the game, right? To make mistakes that could cost them the game. So a lot of it will depend on like, hey, the area of the field you're going in. And the thing is too, is like what we talked about with Mike on Power Hour, like he's going to be able to say like, it's 3rd and 9, but they're on the plus 40. Hey, we're trying to get anywhere to, 5 to 6 yards or more here. If you get something like that, because then we'll go on 4th down.
Yeah, you go for it, right? Yeah.
Then we'll go. So it's like, and he'll be reminding him of that. where maybe you don't have to do that to Riley Leonard, but he probably did it at the same time, right? So, but that is, the thing of it, right? Like, because especially like, Carr was saying, like every throw he's trying to make when he was like first got there was like, I've got to keep the touchdown, whatever, right? And you just learn as you play quarterback and you get into, you understand more that, this is a touchdown play. And no, this is what we need here. Right. And that's something that you have to learn over time. And it can be like a delicate imbalance. And I mean, certainly some quarterbacks never learn it. And that's why they become bums, because they never do that. And that's why they're just guys who, man, all the physical ability in the world. And it's just, it doesn't click because it has to be about that kind of thing. And I don't know, but I will say that I think when they need like a 3rd and long type of thing and they're getting into situations like that, I do think it's like they're going to throw the fade a lot. Yeah. Just be like, try to get into those situations because they're going to throw, back shoulder. They're going to try to drop it in the bucket. They're going to do that kind of thing because they're not going to try to want to like, hey, we don't want to throw a pick here. We're going to try to like attack the middle. That's a throw. Hey, does it have to be like a perfect throw? Is it maybe not the highest percentage throw? Yeah. It's a much lower percentage of getting the ball turned over.
Yes, 100%. You got to take what's there. And what's there for your social media page or your small business is VSR Media. If you can help out with your media company and all that stuff and get your graphics and your videos all in order. And of course, VSR is founded by Notre Dame football pregame host and Emory Award-winning anchor Vahid Sadrazadeh. VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo. Whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or aiming to diversify and grow your business, VSR Media specializes in short and long-form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior, and sports photos. Contact them at vsrmediacompany.com. Mention Irish Sports Daily to receive 20% off your first project. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. Speaking of the fade ball, Jamie, I feel like there's been a lot of discussion about Carson Beck and Miami's passing game and their receivers against Notre Dame's. There hasn't really been that much on the opposite. Notre Dame's receivers against Miami's DBs. I know they've got a lot of transfers in there. Notre Dame's got some transfers too. Malachi Fields and Will Pauling. And of course, Jaden Greathouse and Jordan Faison and then Eli Raridan as well. Where would you give that matchup? Because I feel like that's been under-discussed.
Oh, it's definitely been under-discussed. I mean, I like both of their corners. They got 2 good young corners, right? OJ Frederick he's a talented kid. The guy that they got in from Wisconsin, Xavier Lucas, he's another very talented kid. Those guys are like 6'2", 200-pound, like long, fast corners. Like they are what you want at that position. And then they brought in a bunch of guys there, in general, like they're going to have 5 of their back 7 are going to be transfers, like new transfers that just, got there this year. I mean, I think 2 of them just got there in the summer, maybe 3. So, and then if you look at like the 2 deep in general, there's another 3 guys who are going to be in the 2 deep at those spots that are transfers. So, they say they're going to play everybody. I think it's going to be interesting because some of the other guys that they got at corner are good, but they did good against like lower competition. I don't know how those guys are going to match up in those things. Like I would look at like even a guy like Frederick, who's very good, who's a freshman All-American. He got cooked by Jackson Meeks last year against Syracuse. Like that was probably his only like really like bad game of the year. And Jackson Meeks was like second team all ACC. He's a very good player. But that's something that I'm gonna watch in this game because I want to see like Malachi Fields might cook him. Like that's a matchup. If like you're looking at there, that's a matchup Miami needs to win. right? They need to win. And obviously, if Notre Dame wins that matchup, it's going to be an issue for the Canes, right? So, I also think that like their Keontae Scott is like the nickel that they brought in from Auburn, and he is been very up and down, and he was not good last year. And he played a little bit more outside corner last year, but he was not very good last year. So it's like, oh, they kind of hope that he's like the guy that he was before. And so there's that. And I frankly, like one of the safeties, Jacoby Thomas, is not like he didn't start at Tennessee last year. He played at Middle Tennessee. He was like a multi-year starter at Middle Tennessee, played 200 snaps, I think. And now he's a starter at Miami. I'm like, that doesn't seem good. Like he couldn't start at Tennessee, but now he's going to start at Miami. And like, he didn't really play well at Tennessee. So I don't know. I think it reminds me a lot of Texas A&M last year where they brought in some guys, and it's not like some of those guys didn't end up being good players. Will Lee was a very good corner. But if you look at last year, they had 12 guys that they played in their back seven in that game, and 6 of them were transfers. That probably contributed to a lot of those missed tackles, because whether it's like communication or just like they're getting used to it, or some guys, it's like, hey man, this is your first real game at this level, like that is a different, it's a gap between what you've been doing and what you've been doing before. Like, so how are they going to adjust there? They might be a great secondary. And frankly too, like Frederick and Lucas are true sophomores, right? So their best balls in front of them, but is it game 1 of this season? Is that where they're going to be? Because I think even you would say that Leonard Moore he grew into, what he was.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
And I mean, we saw with Ben Morrison too, right? Like there's levels. And it's like, well, what level are they at? And what level are Notre Dame's guys at? And I mean, I think you would give talent wise, they got a lot of talent. I would give the edge to Notre Dame's receivers there, though. Like, I think they're just more proven.
Yeah, I was going to say there's the experience factor of having done it at a high level already. Plus, like, new pieces, plus new defensive coordinator, like there's just a learning curve that comes along with this stuff sometimes, especially in the secondary, because you got to be all on the same page. And, that's a pretty big factor as well. Kyle Smith asked the question, do you think we'll see a lot of RPO in this game? I would say maybe almost none. No one loves RPO more than me. I don't think we'll see it a lot at all. I just don't think you want a lot of post-snap reads from your quarterback in this game specifically.
I think if they do it, it'll be like very much like the bubble stuff. Like it's going to make it easy reads where it's like, hey, you see they're loading up the box, and it's like you see that nickel creeping, and we're throwing the bubble. Like it'll be like that.
That's like a pre-snap, predetermined kind of thing.
Yeah. That's what you'll see. You'll see that RPO, but I don't think you're going to see as much of some of the other stuff. I wouldn't
like
say.
Actually reading the linebacker, and I'm reading this safety and I'm pulling it when it looks like
I think a lot of pre-snap numbers. That part, I think, but yeah, I agree with you on that. Like you won't see as much the other.
Yeah,
at least that's what I think, because that puts a lot on Carr.
Yeah, there's a lot of like narratives that go along with these things, and I feel like this could be the post game could be like, oh, Notre Dame can throw now kind of thing. Not because they threw a ton, but just because like they had some wideouts who made a ton of plays. Because you've got Malachi Fields there. He is a player that I'm very curious about. It's just because the physical makeup, like he could really, I don't want to say take over a game, but he could make plays that are like, oh man, Notre Dame hasn't seen this in a very long time, and then you combine that with, obviously Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Because here's the other thing is Notre Dame has the one guy, and I think Price to some extent is kind of, he's not in the love category, but he's in that way where it's like he could have 10 carries for 91 yards, you know. Jeremiah Love, I mean, there's a 200-yard game just kind of sitting there for him every week. And he's got the article out in the Players Tribune. Like, I think he's kind of embracing the fact that, okay, like, I am a dude. Like, I am a game breaker in college football at large. And it's one of those things, like, it's kind of like when you had Reggie Bush and Lendale White. It's like, you know, the Miami guy in the chat, like, oh, stop the run, and, you know, we'll move on with our day. It's like kind of everyone said that going against, like, any two-back combo. Everyone goes into every game. It's like, well, we got to stop these guys. And it's like, yeah, but you got to stop those guys, you know, and it's very hard to do. That's kind of lurking as well, Jamie.
Yeah. I just saw this. I wouldn't be looking out for Jadon Blair in this game if Sid Irish.
No.
He's first of all, he's not on the depth chart. And
I mean, he might play on special teams. Like,
he might play on special teams, but
yeah,
I don't even know if that's a lock, you know. So I'm not saying he will probably play on special teams at some point this year, I would guess. But it's not a lock that he's going to play. I mean, I wouldn't. Don't lock it in that he's there.
It's just so hard to get into this, like, in a game of this magnitude. I mean, listen, if Notre Dame wins, they are full driver's seat to not only make the playoff, but like host a game, get a bye. Like, they are very much in the Notre Dame is not messing around here. And like, you could think whatever you want again about Jadon Blair. I haven't seen him in a game. I haven't seen him really do anything. And this has nothing to do with Jadon Blair, the player. It's just, this is not a game for someone like him, right? I mean, it's it just isn't. You know, you have four other safeties who can play, you know. I mean, Bronte Johnson is maybe the most exciting prospect on Notre Dame's defense, or one of, at least. And he played last year. You know, Jadon Blair, he has not played. He's a true freshman. He's an earlier enrollee, but it's just not a game for him. I mean, his time is coming. It's not now. Yeah, it's not now. Jamie, I want to do a prediction.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I do think that I am wary of, like, you know, this is CJ Carr's first start. That there's going to be some growing pains. I think, you know, the crowd, I know that, you know, they say it's not going to be a big deal. I do think it is going to be, at least at the beginning of the game, it will be a big deal. It's going to have an impact on the game. I think we'll see some, you know, good and bad from Carr. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to come down to him, because I think Notre Dame's going to win in other areas. And I also think that Carson Beck is going to, like, he'll make some throws for sure. He'll make some throws. I also think he's going to throw it to Notre Dame probably a couple times. And, you know, that's just what he's been when he doesn't have the dudes to throw to, and when he doesn't have, you know, the protection, which he is probably going to have good protection, but I don't know about great. And I do think Notre Dame's pass rush is probably not being talked about enough in this game. Notre Dame 31, Miami 20.
31-20. Okay. I'm sort of in the similar. I mean, the CJ Carr thing is so. It's just sitting there, right? Like, you don't know what to make of it. We haven't really seen him. Like, we have spring games, obviously. That's not enough for me. How is he going to react? I mean, and truthfully, like, this would have been the case if it was Kenny Minchie as well. We don't know how he was going to react to this situation. I understand, you know, whether it's a sellout or not. Listen, 60,000 people, let's just say there's 60,000 people.
Is it not a sellout?
I think you can just go to the website and buy a ticket.
God, that's pathetic. Come on, Miami fan. Come on,
It's
Albert
not,
McKinney. Get your friends
not,
out here and get
not
your friends
great.
to go to this game.
Listen, it's not great. But like, let's say it's 60,000 people, right? That's a lot of people, right? And like, you just feel the weight of it. You feel the weight of what the game is and everything, and how CJ Carr is going to respond. It's just, I'm going to bank on the fact that like Notre Dame has been in this situation. They have a better team, for one.
More proven
playmakers, that sort of thing. I think Miami can be good. Yes, I think the people, however good Miami is, and sometimes, like, especially in a game where I haven't seen this team play, Miami being that, I haven't seen them play, so I don't know. But like the fact is, they could be good and they could still just lose because Notre Dame is better than them. I mean, I thought that was kind of the deal with Texas A&M last year. Like, people gassing up Texas A&M. It's like, yeah, they could be good, but that doesn't mean they're going to beat Notre Dame, Like, and so I just feel like between Notre Dame staff and the institutional knowledge that they gained last year, like, they're kind of on the up and up. I think the program is hungry. And so I just think they're going to find a way to pull it out. And I think they are going to kind of embrace CJ Carr as well. I think they know how to handle that situation, Mike Denbrock specifically. So I'm going to say it's Notre Dame 27, Miami 14. I'm a little bit worried about the slop if the field gets kind of messy. I think there's an FIU game. I think there's an FIU game like the day before. I think there's a Saturday, Sunday game at Hard Rock, which is, again, unbecoming.
Is there really?
I think so. I think I read that. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's a game the day before.
Who organizes this stuff?
I don't know. I don't know about
hour.
this. Yeah, this is
amateur hour. It's like, come on,
we're going to the website and just buying tickets. What is this? No way Notre Dame hits 2 field goals. It reminds me of the talk before the playoff game against Indiana.
No way John Doerr does anything good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, hashtag remembering some dudes. Jonathan Doerr, every kick that didn't matter was the worst kick you've ever seen in your life. He didn't just miss.
Side stands.
Yes, like he kicked it like not through the end zone, but like the side of the end zone. The worst kick. Any kick that meant something was just pipes, just right center middle. Unbelievable.
Does FIU play their home games at Hard Rock as well? Is that true?
I think so.
Oh my God. Get a stadium, Miami. What is go back to the old Orange Bowl. This is
all right. I have to look it up now.
Extremely unbecoming. Sharing a stadium with FIU and the Dolphins, whatever. Like, come on.
FIU. Well, it says FIU Stadium here, so maybe not. Maybe I just made that up. I'm pretty sure Hard Rock was. Somebody said this.
Okay, they say FIU has Pitbull Stadium. Yes, Pitbull. I forgot, Mr. Worldwide. Yeah,
Florida A&M. Maybe. I feel like this is bad podcasting on my part. I apologize, but I'm pretty sure.
I mean, we're not up on
ESPN. Howard, here we go. Coach Hump, thank you, sir. Howard versus Florida A&M on the 30th.
You got to be kidding me! Like, seriously. Clown show, yeah.
Hey, but Marcus Freeman, we learned he likes clown masks. That's a new thing that came out. All right. We can end it there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. So whatever it is, we are going live. The game is on Sunday. We'll do a post-game show. And then we're going to have the morning after recap on Monday. And then we'll have Power Hour on Tuesday. And then we'll have Hit and Hustle on Wednesday. And we are off. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a great weekend of football. We can talk about it. And it's going to be lots of fun. So we'll talk to you soon. Keep hitting and hustling.